In this lesson, we're going to go over graphing lines in linear equations, part 2. So we previously talked about point and slope and graphing lines in the form of y equals mx plus b. We're going to review y equals mx plus b. We're going to learn to write equations of lines given 2 points, and we're going to interpret slope from a graph given some sort of application on the graph. Okay, so first, recall point-slope form of a line or slope-intercept form of a line. Which is y equals mx plus b. M is your slope or your rate of change, and b is the y-intercept or the starting point on the y-axis. Okay. So when you're asked to write equations of lines, typically you're given 2 points. You determine the slope by using m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, or the other way around. And then what you do is you use that slope you found in one of the points in order to find your y-intercept, and your final answer should be in slope-intercept form, which is y equals the slope you found times x plus the y-intercept you found. So example 1, write the equation of the line that passes through 1, 2, and negative 5, negative 10. So the first step here is to determine the slope. Okay, so I'm going to call this x1, y1, and x2, y2. So m is equal to negative 10 minus 2 over negative 5 minus 1. Okay, so the numerator, negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. So in this case, we have a slope of 2. So now if we're building our slope-intercept form of a line, we would have y is equal to 2x plus b, and our goal now is to find b. The way to do that, let me rewrite this. Y equals 2x plus b. The way to do that is to use either 1, 2, or negative 5, negative 10. Plug it into the equation, y equals 2x plus b, and solve for b. Pick the point that's easier. So in this case, I'm going to pick 1, 2. It's smaller numbers, and there's no negatives. Okay. So remember, this is an ordered pair x comma y. So 1 will go in for x, and 2 will go in for y. So we have 2 is equal to 2 from the slope times x. It's multiplication, so I'm going to put it in parentheses, plus b. And now you solve for b. So we get everything out of parentheses, and the 2 is being added to b, so subtract it from both sides, and in this case, b equals 0. So now, finally, we have y is equal to 2x plus 0, or y is equal to 2x. So this would be the equation of the line that passes through those 2 points. Next, let's talk about reading graphs. So remember that if a line has a positive slope, that it's increasing. If a line has a negative slope, it's decreasing. And when we talk about slope, you look at change in y over change in x. We're going to deal with slope as a rate of change, and when we're talking about it, we have to follow our slope formula, which is the vertical change divided by the horizontal change, or change in y over change in x. And then what happens in linear equations is that the rate or the slope remains constant. Okay. So fill in the blanks using the graphs. So this is going to be a question about slope. So according to the graph, they're rained up blank by blank inches every blank hours, and then the rate of change. So I would pick a point that's easily identifiable. Don't pick something out here. We don't know how far in between 2 and 4 that is, and if you guess, chances are my lab is going to mark it wrong. Okay. So let's look at from these 2 points. So from the starting point to this point here, which is 4, 6. Okay, so our rain depth is increasing because the graph is going up. So it increases by, and then we read the vertical change first. From 0, we go up to 6, so this would be 6 inches every 4 hours. So our rate of change here would be 6 over 4, which is 3 over 2, and the units would be in inches per hour. Okay, and this is a good model only if this rate of change, 3 over 2, stays constant over time. Next, fill in the blanks using the graph. So I'm going to pick 2 points right now. Okay, so according to the graph, the distance from home, oh yeah, are we increasing or decreasing? In this case, since the line is going down, we're decreasing. And so on the y-axis there, I have distance from the beach, so this means that we're driving home from the beach, so our distance to home is getting smaller and smaller as we're getting closer to home. So that's how you would read this graph. and it's going to decrease. So we start at 250, and then to get to this point here, we go down 50 miles, and then we'd go over 2 hours. Okay, so in this case, the rate of change would be negative because it's decreasing, and then your units would be miles per hour. Okay. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me.